So what are we dealing with? Let's have a look at this. The Engwe E26 high step. We've got 7-speed Tony derailleur, suspension seat post on a nice comfy saddle, 16 amp hour battery in there, 48 volt, and down in there you'll have your controller, which is 20 amp, adjustable suspension, 26-inch wheels obviously, Chaoyang 26x4 tyres. That's a cracking headlight, it's very bright. I'll show you in the breakdown how bright that is. Metal mud guards front and rear. Nice sturdy bike stand. These racks are very familiar on these bikes, but they're very well made. We've got hydraulic brakes with 180 rotors front, and we've got 180 rotors at the rear with hydraulic brakes again. Rack, you won't believe how bright that is at night. That rear light, it's really bright. You can't see it in this sunlight, but I'll show you a bit later. Botload of fixings there, and again we have botload of fixings there. Decent metal motor connector there. I like those. They're better than the pull apart ones that you get on the other e-bikes. Ergonomic grips here. We've got hydraulic brake levers there. They're very good, very stoppy as well. You've got your pass adjustment there. That screen is really bright. Even when at night, when it's dimmed, it's very bright. 7-speed tombstone. Hydraulic brakes on the other side, and a quarter twist throttle. You've got an adjustable stem, so you can re-angle your handlebars where you want them, and I found that a real good piece of kit. And that's about it. Let's go see how it rides. Right, we're at the bottom of the 112 foot, third of a mile hill climb. Hope like the new ident I've just done gives you more of a perspective of where we're going and what we're going up. So if you've seen any of my videos before, you'll know that if a bike can't make it up here, it's not worth reviewing. And it's one of the steepest climbs that I've got near me, which is 15%. It's not actually the steepest, but it's steepest and nearest. Yeah, seems to be having no problems getting up here at all. Yeah, job done. We're not breaking any land speed records, but today I've decided to film in KMH. I do have a fair few followers that have asked me to film in kilometers per hour. There you go. It's definitely not slow, and it's definitely stable. So one of the problems I had the last time I reviewed an E26 bike was the suspension seat post. And I've tightened it as tight as I can get it today, and it's not doing a bad job actually. there's a bit of suspension in it, and as with before, it's not going all the way down, so when it decides to flick itself back up or rise again, but it's more of a flick up, I think it's a spring in there, it's not catching me in the family jewels. You're wondering why I've gone from 5 bars at the bottom of the hill to 3 bars on there now. That's battery sag for you. So at some point you'll just see that power meter just jumping around. In fact, if I turn it back off coming down here, like this, and then I turn it back on, I'm back up to 5 bars, look. Let's go climb another hill. It's not very forgiving. So in comparison with the ST, this feels a little bit stiffer. Obviously it's got a crossbar on this one. It's not really a problem getting my leg over on the crossbar. But as you can see, it's a 20 amp controller in there, and I think it's a bit underpowered for this bike. I'd like to send the 23 amp controller that's in the Engine Pro 2.0 in here, and the Engine Pro. They both have 23 amp controllers. It's a big bike. But as you can see, or probably hear, the motor's not really struggling with it. Again, this is the same Suto motor, 750 watt, that they put in pretty much all their 750 watt e-bikes. In fact, pretty much 70-80% of the bikes that Engwe make have this motor inside it. So if you haven't watched me before, Suto is a subsidiary of Bafang. These are just a slightly cheaper motor, but it does the job fine. Let's get up here and do the bypass run. At least it's not raining today. As you can see by the battery tag on there, I don't know if you can see it, it's down to 2 bars, but I'll switch it off and on again and I'm back up to 4. I've done about 10 miles so far. It's quite a windy day. And it's cold. It was 9 degrees when I left the house this morning. Not my favourite temperature. Again, when I come along here, remember, mirrors, helmet, and gloves. You should wear these when riding a bike anyway, but more so when you're coming along here. It's a constant fight for a lane, and you get cut up all over the place. But it's a nice big presence, is this bike. You can see it a mile off, even when it's black. A big shout out to Me Chow for these mirrors. I didn't get them for free, I've had to pay for them, but they're the best mirrors I've come across. I think they're about 50 to 60 pound a pair, but the wide angle view of what you get of what's around you when you're on the road, it's worth the price of admittance for just that alone. It's like looking through two widescreen TVs. And you can see everything going on around you. I can't get on with those mirrors that sort of come up off your handlebars and then sort of angle right and left, because all I can normally see is my shoulder. And they're no good to me whatsoever. It's definitely autumn and it's definitely winter in a few weeks. As we head into December, today the weather's not too bad. It's been misty and horrible for days, just overcast. Right, let's check these brakes out. Oh, these are far better. So whereas when I rode the X26 and these brakes would barely stop me in those Logans, these are Logan copies, I think. Whatever they are, they're brilliant brakes. They're the ones that they put on most of their bikes now, and they're absolutely brilliant. I don't like Tektro. I'm not a big fan of Tektro brakes. I do like Logan brakes in the right situation. I've had Logan brakes on my Engwe Engine Pro, the original one, and I loved them. Right, let's get ourselves off up the Benny Hill. From now on I'm just going to call it Benny Hill instead of Bendy Hill. It's an horrible bendy bit hill. It really sucks energy out of the battery, and soon as this thing shows massive battery sag, I think it might be down to the controller. The 20 amp controller is showing heavy battery sag to the display. But it really doesn't like heavy sag on the battery. I mean, I've got no problems getting up this hill. It just doesn't like that showing the drain on the battery. Well, it does like showing the drain on the battery, more to the point. Got to switch off and switch on again. Brings you back in a couple of minutes to the true reading, or as near as you're going to get from a display. We made it up there with ease. It's a comfortable riding position, it really is. It's the same as the ST, it's a really comfortable riding position. And I like that. There's a lot to like about that. So let's get up around town. Yeah, it's a real comfortable riding position. It's quite commanding and it's quite a presence on the road. I always equate these 26-inch before tyre bikes is sort of like being the 4x4 of the e-bike world. Yeah, it's very stable. You know it feels stable. I like bikes that feel like that. I like that stability when you're riding them around. There's no flex in this bike whatsoever. So let's go try these tyres out. See what the grip's like here. If I'm ever going to come off, it's around here, and it's nice. Usual Chaoyang tyres that Engwe fits for their bikes, and they do the job admirably. Another shout out to Chaoyang. I do like the eye position of these 26-inch wheel bikes. It is kind of a refreshing change from the 20 befores. I think a lot of it's down to the presence of the bike. This thing does well through town. Like I said, it has a presence. And really, when you're riding through town, you want to have a bit of presence. It's neither slow nor massively fast. It's well balanced. And those 26-inch before tyres, they're cracking suspension in themselves. So you don't really miss having mid-suspension on these bikes with these tyres. I do like these mirrors. They do allow me to sort of wobble around all over the place and just make me feel safe that I can see everything around me. If you've been riding around on your e-bike now for a few months and you've not long had it, get some mirrors. You'll see what I mean about the difference about riding a bike with mirrors on and not. It's a different experience altogether. You're not trying to break your neck trying to see what's around you. Definitely feels like a more natural position than the 20 befores, but there's nothing I've seen or ridden yet that will make me give up my Engwe Engine Pro 2.0. The fact that I don't need to have a throttle with it, the fact that you know, it's got massive range on it. It's got even more massive range since I fitted a second battery to it, not long after I got it. And to this day, it remains the best e-bike I've ever ridden. This, on the other hand, Doesn't fall short anywhere either. It's a really good bike. Do like these as well. They just give you a flat place for your palm. See, my bars are down to 1, and yeah, I know if I turn it back up on, it's going to go back up to 3. Shows really heavy battery sag on this when there's no need for it. It causes a bit of anxiety. I have to be honest with you, it kills hills up and down with ease. And it doesn't feel fragile. That's the other thing, it doesn't feel fragile. And it still feels, for its size, very nimble. So we're down to my favourite spot, the Canal. Look at that, an old muggy traveller. Look at it. I spent my summer sanding down the wood on one of them when I was about 11 years old. What an awesome thing. Condition of it looks like it's only a few years old. Anyway, that's not what we're here for. We're here to test out and review an e-bike. So one of the things that I found with this e-bike is the level of comfort, and some of that's down to the handlebar position where it's got an adjustable stem riser, so that makes a big difference. And like I said before, these make a big difference. The palm rests, they just make the riding position a little bit more comfortable. It's another nice day down here. I think this is the last real good sunny day we're going to have this year, because next week weather-wise looks like it's about to change, and in one of the predictions we got a bit of snow. I doubt we'll get snow. BBC weather app, so I probably might want to get my t-shirt out. But yeah, it's probably the last good day we'll have down here. It ain't gonna stop me coming down here, no woofer. Anyway, cue the music. calm that is. It's just a glorious day, especially for this sort of thing. These are the days that I like to get out on these bikes. I don't recommend riding these bikes in the rain. I don't recommend riding anything that's not IP6 rated in the rain. And I keep getting kickback from people saying, well, I ride mine in the rain and through rivers and stuff. It's only a matter of time before you knacker your bike up. Because water only has to find a way once. You have to be lucky all the time. So I've got no motor assistance now. I've clonked up the gears and I'm riding around quite well. It's easy enough. I'm not going to break any land speed records, but you know, and for such an heavy bike with these big tyres on, it's not going to get up any hills with zero power. But at the moment I'm not going up any hills, and I like to get a bit of exercise, as you all well know. Pop it back up to pass 1. And as you see, you get plenty of power from pass 1. You know, my legs going round, I'm not actually doing anything. Put some gears down to get a bite, and now I'm putting some energy into the bike. So for all you e-bike hypermilers out there, with a little bit of effort, you can probably get another quarter of the range of this e-bike on top. But the problem with absolute power is absolute power corrupts. So if you've got the wattage available, most people are going to enjoy themselves by having some fun with the bike instead of hypermiling it out. Today's beverage of choice is Diet Sprite, and it's not a sponsorship deal. This is normally where I stop to have a drink. Anyway, down to this. It's a muscular looking thing, and it really does have presence on the road, really does. It's although Engwe only make very few 26-inch fat tyre e-bikes, and I think these are the only two they're making now, which is the E26 high step and the E26 step through, which is a shame, because with this they proved that they can do the job. Yeah, I like this bike a lot, I do. There's a lot to like about it, but we'll talk about that in the breakdown. It's a lovely day to be down here today. Like I said, I think this is going to be the last one before the cold weather kicks in, because next week it says on the BBC weather app we might be getting snow up here. But then again, I am talking the BBC weather app. We've had some terrible weather lately. I think I pointed it out on one of my Facebook posts, so I haven't been able to film anything, and when I did film something, it wouldn't match up with what I'd already filmed, so I've had to restart this review from the beginning again, refilm it. Because I'm a stickler for trying to get things right every time more to the point, trying to improve stuff every time I do something, especially when it comes to this video stuff. I always try and point out, if you go back to the videos I did at the beginning to what I'm doing now, and essentially I've only really been doing this or putting the effort in for about a year, and I've had to learn this new skill set of filming to review and being abstract from it and trying to make it interesting. And my view of it is I want to do slow TV because it marries up with my demographic, that they want to see slow TV. They don't want to see kids riding around as fast as they possibly can on e-bikes. Don't get me wrong, I do like going fast. I've got a car for that. I've got a, you know, motorbike for that. I don't need to be, this isn't what this is about. Don't know if you've noticed how bright that display is and how visible it is even in this sunlight. And even coming back, yesterday I found that it was really bright. You know, I have no problem seeing it. It's the same display I've got on my Engwe Engine Pro 2.0 and I've grown to love it. The only thing missing from it, as far as I'm concerned, it needs the output, the wattage output on it, how much power I'm using. It would make this a far more useful tool. But it's a lovely looking display. It's an absolutely beautiful spot, and as you can see now through this drone footage, you know, this links 2 waterways along here. It's just, you can see why people go for this lifestyle, because there's nothing to beat it really. There's just really nothing to beat it. And I absolutely love being down here. It's a bit windy today, it's a bit cold, but it's something I can live with. So let's chop through. Yeah, from the swans on the waterway, which there seems to be quite a few around here. It's just a lovely place to be. And I'm so lucky to have it on my doorstep. There's so many different types of these canal boats. And I do sort of keep looking at them and thinking, I wonder how much that costs. And then I end up on the internet researching. And normally when I get into this much of research or something, it's something, a path I normally end up going down. It's got to the point where I'm actually jealous of people that live this lifestyle. It's I genuinely think if I ended up getting rid of the lifestyle I've got and living on a canal boat, I'd live longer. Even if it was just a few months of the year, just to get away from the rat race. And again, I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it in all my videos, one of the things that these e-bikes gives you is a certain amount of freedom that you don't normally have. Get out places, go on adventures, you know, dream about this sort of lifestyle while you're out and about, shut your brain down. I doubt it's an easy lifestyle. I mean, I follow a guy on, he's actually on the BBC, or he was on the BBC, called Canal Boat Diaries. and he got into it a while back, and he's got his own little TV series, and I try and emulate a bit of what he does in this. I think the perfect lifestyle would be at retirement age, that you've got a couple of e-bikes, you've got yourself a camper van, you know, something you go off on adventures with, tie the bikes to, and you're living off the canal most of the time, and you're just free then from everything. You're just free from the mundanity of sort of 9 to 5. You're not free from bills, they get you one way or another, but I'm starting to come round, I've said it in other videos, these Chaoyang tyres. They do a cracking little job. Yeah, they're cracking tyres. You can hear them cracking at the moment. Well, I've not had a puncture with one of these since I started testing these e-bikes, and I've put some miles on. So it kind of proves that the puncture resistance is working to a certain extent. I've no doubt if I hit something like a stuck-up nail or something, that's obviously going to puncture, but there's a lot of conkers around where I am at the moment, horse chestnuts, and there's spikes on those all over the place. So when I do the off-road part of the video, invariably there's just spikes everywhere, little pointy thorns. So here it is, Horrible Hill. Probably the second worst hill that I go up. In fact, it's definitely the second, if not even worse, in the hill climb, because this sucks the battery. So let's see how it does getting up here. We have to remember this is an heavy bike, and it's only running a 20 amp controller. Well, as you can tell, I'm not out of breath, and it's just gliding up here. And I'll repeat it as I do at the beginning. I weigh 240 pounds with my backpack. There's other reviewers out there in the US, most of them are under 200 pounds. And invariably, well, I doubt many of them are my age doing what I do. Yeah, not a problem. Went from 4 to 2 bars coming up there, so I switch it off and switch it on again. See what we got. See, back to 4 bars. It'll drop down as low as 1 on a big hill, and that gives me a bit of anxiety, but it is what it is. I just find it one of those little bugs, ghost in the machine. So let's get back up into town. Said it in other reviews, if you know Wakefield at all, you know how tough this hill is. It's quite steep. It's not something you want to be coming up on a heavy mountain bike with no assistance. And it's made it up here quite easily. In fact, with no worries whatsoever. If you're new to e-bikes and you can hear a whirring sound in the background, that's the nature of a geared hub motor. and that's what you can hear. It's absolutely normal. So let's go do some off-road stuff. It's a bit wet and damp, leafy. But yeah, doesn't seem to mind off-road much. This is that battery sag again. Down to 1 bar, but I reckon if I turn it off and on again, we'll be back to 3. I find that really annoying. It's one of the quirks of this bike I really don't like. Well, looking at it, maybe 2 bars. But that's no problem on the grassy off, and this is wet grass too, and it has a good grip. Those tyres do well in this sort of environment. But yeah, conker leaves. I like coming around this bit because it's all different terrain. So you've got a bit of leafy, you've got a bit of grassy, you've got pretty much everything because there's path as well. It absorbs the bumps, but you can feel there's no mid-suspension, you can hear it at the back. But yeah. Yeah, it's great. Also, the quirk where you get this battery sag that shows up on the screen drives me nuts. Thank you. Hello, Woofer. I just think it's a quirk of the controller and the display. I don't think it's anything deliberate or made by design. Anyway. Yeah, it does the job well. I kind of like it. I like this bike. There's a lot to like about it. So, how do you unlock it? Well, let's start with this. First, we pull the twist throttle on, then we hold that brake on the right hand side and the left brake, then we switch it on. Leave the boat, this error will come up 25, don't worry about that. And we keep it on hold for about 15 seconds. Then you let everything go. Put it in pass 1. The wheel touch. And there you go, unlocked. Job done. So that's how you unlock it. To lock it back up, you just reverse that sequence. So it was a good day out, well, 2 days, and having to refilm it again because of the weather. That was fun, but it was fun. I unlocked the bike to use it for the review, and it was just fun. It was as fun as riding around on the step-through version. I really like it. And where I said in the video, these are probably the only 2 26-inch wheels e-bikes that Engwe still make. They still make the X26, which doesn't come close to this, and I think they're discontinuing it anyway. But, you know, if you want one, I'd get one as soon as possible. What's good about it? well, pretty much everything. It's stable, the brakes are good, the gearing's good, the suspension's pretty good. I'd swap that seat post out for a proper suspension seat post, spend 60, 70 quid and you're away. But as for the one that's on there, it's either on or off, so I tightened it up to its tightest point. And it worked a little bit with my weight, but it's a little bit hit and miss. The tyres are good, the balance is good. I love that display. And at night time, it's really bright. You can't really miss it. It's an LCD display. I thought it might have been OLED, but it's not. It's LCD. So that's good. The lights are fantastic. That front light, oh, very, very bright. As is the rear light. The rear light's very bright too. But yeah, all in all, pretty good. What height range? Well, it says on the website and what you can actually get away with on here, I think it's about 5'8" to 6'6". And to get 6'6", I think you're gonna have to get an extended seat post anyway, because it's quite shallow as that suspension seat post. But yeah, you know, you could probably go up to 6'8" with a new seat post. And like I said, to get an adjustable suspension one, you're only looking at around about £60–70, and that would transform this bike. You might have heard a few rattles and dings. That was actually my pannier bag at the back. I've got a load of post kit and stuff like that for photography in there, so that's what you heard dinging. But from the bike, there was nothing. It was silent. Even the tyres were quiet. So yeah, all in all, a really good package. I'm not going to go into any much more detail, because at the end of this, you'll see a review come up one of these sides for the step-through version. Turns out that this bike's actually lighter than the step-through version, not by much, but it is. So the bad points, well, that battery sag drove me nuts. It really did. I reset the bike at one point to see if it would change it, but it didn't. And I think it's just a ghost in the machine. It's just the nature of this bike. Which, you know, it's nothing major, but you never get an anywhere near true value of what the power is you've got left in that battery. And that's another sad point. 16 amperes ain't quite enough. It could have done with being 20 amperes, but because of the nature of the frame, they can't do anything about that. It's 16 amp hours. You've seen these 20 amp hour 26-inch bikes with the frames and the box at the front to hold the battery is quite big. So I think that would lose a little bit of balance either way. So what am I going to give it out of 10? Well, it's going to be slightly higher than the step through. I love step throughs, but had a bit of a flea thing for me for the step through. So I'm going to give this 9.4 out of 10. It deserves it. It was a great day out. It's easy to unlock and then lock again. The brakes are really good. They're unbranded, but I still think they're Logan brakes. The throttle's really good. Everything on it's quite responsive. It's not as nimble as the 20x4 bikes, like I said in the video, but it's stable and it's nimble enough to get you around town, or especially when you're going off-road with it. And it handled really well off-road. And actually that quite surprised me. Coming up next, well, I don't know if it's going to be the video for the Y10 scooter, because the thing terrifies me. But I've got another bike coming Wednesday, and I actually might have two bikes come in. So it's either going to be the L20 Boost or the LE20. So we'll have to see which it's going to be. But that'll come next week because the weather's starting to turn, and that'll probably be the last two bikes I review this year. And just before Christmas, well actually a couple of weeks before Christmas, I'll do a video countdown of my top 5 Engwe bikes. And it might not be actually in the sequence for points, it's just the way I feel about the bikes. Have a nice weekend, everyone.